everyone, my name is Elaine, also known as the Panda from King's Entertainment Reviews, and today I'm going to be reviewing Noelle Stevenson's YA fantasy graphic novel, Nimona. Nimona has admired Lord Blackheart's evil genius for a long time, prompting her to offer her services as his sidekick. Reluctantly, Blackheart agrees to take Nimona on as his apprentice when he discovers that she is the shapeshifter. Together, the pair begin to wreak havoc throughout the kingdom. However, when they uncover the institution of law enforcement and Heroic's top-secret plans, they realize that the institution poses a threat to the kingdom. Can Blackheart and Nimona save the kingdom by stoking people's greatest fears, or are they doomed to fail from the very beginning? I loved Stevenson's graphic novel. It was definitely one of the best things I have read in the last year. I enjoyed Nimona for several different reasons. First, I appreciated the fact that the novel was humorous. It often poked fun at itself, occurrences from everyday life, and common fantasy tropes. I want to take a moment to give you guys an example. This doesn't really give anything about the book away, so I thought it would be the perfect one to use. It begins on page 82 at the bottom, after Nimona is injured while out in the field. And she's basically complaining that now, because she is injured, she can't go out and do anything. She says, "Well, what's there to do around here anyway?" Blackheart replies, "Well, here we have world domination. It builds strategy skills. You can play as a dog, a boot, or a trebuchet. Bewilder builds language and observation skills. I said I wanted to play video games. Video games are a waste of time, and board games aren't. Why do you even have these? No one lives here but you. I used to have some henchmen. Game night was a big hit. Henchmen? What happened to them? I can't work with mercenaries. It's impossible to build trust when they only care about their paychecks. Oh, let me guess. The institution paid them off? I don't want to talk about it. World domination, huh? I call the Scotty dog. Yes, a 10. 8, 9, 10. Landing you in the Enchanted Forest, which is my domain. 600 gold, please. My Scotty dog will not pay your tyrannical toll. Nimona. He rallies the oppressed woodland creatures and organizes a revolt. Just so happens I am a just ruler and greatly admired by all my subjects. Squirrels scale the walls of the castle and bears batter down the gates. Bloody chaos ensues. The Enchanted Forest is ours. Flick. I'm taking the 600 gold anyway. Highway robbery! Plus another 600 for damages. Whoosh. That was fun. What do you want to do next? Second, I thought that both Blackheart and Nimona were extremely likable and relatable characters. Blackheart is extremely relatable because he's so misunderstood. He also has morals, despite his status as a villain, and follows his own code or set of rules. This is established pretty early on in the novel during a conversation that he has with Nimona when he first takes her on. It's on page 22. And she says, "Yeah, but they worked for the institution, you know, the same people that ruined your life." He replies, "The security guards didn't ruin my life." And she says, "No, Goldenloin did, and you won't even kill him. No one's gonna take you seriously if you're too afraid to kill anyone." She's right. What kind of villain from a fantasy novel or even a fantasy movie, anything involving fantasy, refuses to kill people? That's just a thing that they do. It's part of the trope. It's part of the lore that surrounds fantasy novels. It's very, very strange that this character would have these morals. Nimona is also misunderstood and fairly impulsive. She's humorous, witty, really enthusiastic about her job, which I find a little weird. I don't know many people who are enthusiastic about her job, and this is established pretty early on page 8, when Goldenloin comes to confront his nemesis Blackheart. Blackheart says, "Goldenloin, I should have known you'd show up." And she says, "Why are you still surprised after all this time?" And Blackheart tries to shush her. Goldenloin says, "I see you have a squire now. How nice for you, Ballister. Ambrosius, this is my new sidekick, Nimona." "Yeah, and you're going down, Goldenloin." "Well, she's certainly spunky." "Oh yeah, I'll show you, spunky fancy man. Can I kill him now?" "No." "Charming. She grows on you." I mean, she really just wants to take Goldenloin out because as far as she's concerned, he and the institution are just ruining Blackheart's life, and she doesn't want that. She's the evil sidekick. She wants good things to happen for Blackheart. She's also really sarcastic, and this makes her an individual that's extremely easy to fall in love with. Ultimately, I feel like I was both excited and relieved by the fact that both Nimona and Blackheart were so likable and so relatable. Obviously, they're the two main characters in the novel, Nimona more so than Blackheart. And seeing them be these people that I felt like I could relate to was really refreshing. I feel like lately I've been reading books with a lot of Mary Sues and Gary Stews where the characters are just good at everything and they don't have a personality and there's nothing for me to latch on to, and the fact that they're good at everything makes them hopelessly unrelatable because that's not realistic. People aren't good at everything. So seeing people who had these flaws was really, really nice for me. I like having these realistic people that I can just feel like draw me in, like entice me. I also really appreciated the fact that they were so likable. I feel like, in the past more so than I do now, I've read novels where everything was perfect, like in every way. The setting was gorgeous, the descriptions of everything were beautiful, the prose was wonderful, the pacing was just spot on. There was, not too much, not too little, or it was fast paced, which I do like fast paced books. Not as much setup, obviously, because that can drag. And everything was going well except for the fact that the characters were just so annoying. Like, if these characters were more enticing, if they were more intriguing, if they weren't so obnoxious, then the book would have been perfect. But because of those characters, the book was a little less than perfect, let us say. It made getting through it an absolute slog for me. That's not the case here. First of all, okay, this is a graphic novel, so it's basically fast paced because pictures help with getting rid of unnecessary descriptions, or at least having to take the time to describe things like castles or setting or the way people look. But everything about these two characters were so perfect for me. They're so easy to like. They're so much fun, and they just drew me in. It was not a slog for me. I was so excited to get through this book. I didn't want to put it down. I don't think if this hadn't been a graphic novel, but something that was naturally fast paced, I would have felt any different. This novel was great in that sense. These people are amazing. And to a lesser degree, Golden Loin is too. He's a very well rounded character. Not as likable because he does have, a dark side, which I'll get into later. But overall, these two main characters were awesome in every way. Before I move on, I want to take a quick second to just wrap up my analysis of Nimona as a person and as a character. I think it was really important to have her be such a strong female lead. I know that books now, and I've mentioned this before and I'm sure I'll mention it again, are dominated by male leads. We don't see as many female leads. And to have this strong character who's willing to fight for what she wants and who's so funny and so likable is really, really great and refreshing for me as a woman who doesn't always get to see this type of person, and especially in a book, and I'll talk about setting more later, where there are a lot of medieval elements, and during this time period, women didn't have the kinds of rights that they do now. They couldn't really be the kind of character that Nimona is, someone who's willing to speak her mind, someone who's willing to fight for what she wants, who can go out and do, so many things, like fight alongside Blackheart. That was just not something that really happened back then. Women were, relegated to the house. They would cook, they would clean, they would take care of children, they'd sew, they'd, do those sorts of things. So seeing Nimona be this kind of person is just amazing for me. I really, really, really cannot stress enough how much I love this character. Thank you, Noelle Stevenson, for creating her. Third, the novel is extremely fast-paced. There was never a dull moment. And again, I feel like this mainly stems from the fact that this is a graphic novel. Noelle Stevenson didn't have to take the time to establish a setting because we have the picture. She didn't have to describe how people look or the types of weapons people were using or things of that nature. So there was nothing to really slow it down, and that was great. I love a fast-paced book. I hate having to spend hundreds of pages just getting the setup before shit happens. Finally, I appreciated the fact that Stevenson made her readers question what made a person good and what made a person evil. Was it simply a label, or is what constitutes good and what constitutes evil determined by the individual or individuals in charge? These questions are really something that Blackheart and Golden Loin let readers think about. If you consider Blackheart, he is, quote, the evil character, but he, like I said before, doesn't want to kill people. He has his own set of morals, and he does his best to, quote, be evil while also not being too evil, if that makes sense. Golden Loin, on the other hand, is labeled as the good character. Even his name has golden in it, like the golden child. He walks around in golden armor. But if you look at who he is as a person, he doesn't have as many qualms about killing people or hurting people, and that really makes you wonder, is Golden Loin actually a good person, or does that label suit him? And is Blackheart really a bad person? Does that evil label, does that villainous label really suit him as a person? I don't have many criticisms for Stevenson's graphic novel. With that being said, I occasionally felt as though Nimona was a tad jumpy and disorienting. I feel like that mainly stems from the fact that the novel just jumped right into things, and in the beginning especially, it seemed to skip around a bit, and that kind of confused me a little. Furthermore, some of the panels were kind of small, which made it hard to read the text. The fact that the text was also written by hand as opposed to having been typed on a computer occasionally exacerbated this issue. I think it would have been better if the dialogue had been typed on a computer. It would have been a lot easier to read and to follow along with the book that way. I also felt as though Stevenson worked with a very limited color palette. I would have liked to see a wider array of colors because now I like to taste the rainbow. Despite this, the colors had fully saturated the images on the page. The hues that Stevenson chose were very deep and vivid. It was easy to differentiate between each panel and figures within the panel because of Stevenson's color choices and extensive highlighting work with outlines, which isn't always the case in graphic novels. I've read a few where I couldn't really tell things apart, and it was a bit of a problem for me. Finally, I was confused by Nimona's setting. The story states that it takes place in a kingdom, but the kingdom is never given a name. I don't know if it's a real place or if it's a kingdom that Stevenson made up, although I'm leaning toward the latter. Furthermore, I'm confused as to when Nimona takes place, because it contains a blend of medieval and contemporary elements. For example, Lord Blackheart and Sir Ambrosius Goldenloin run around in metal armor and carry swords. There are also guards dressed in medieval attire, royal tournaments involving jousts and archery contests, and old-fashioned marketplaces. At the same time, the novel includes a number of modern conveniences such as pizza delivery and refrigerators. There are also movies, television sets, news reports, and guns. Even so, I highly recommend this book. Ultimately, I give this book a 4.8 out of 5 stars, and that's mainly because of the disorientation at the beginning of the novel, the jumpiness at the beginning, and just the minor confusion caused by the setting. I think it's a great novel. I don't think you're going to regret picking it up at all and taking the time to read it. So thanks, guys, for listening. If you like what you see, please feel free to like, comment, and subscribe, and also hit that notification bell so you know what's up. Finally, if you want your own copy of Nimona, and I bet you all do, please check out the link in the description. The book comes at no extra cost to you, and it really helps out the channel. Thanks again for listening, and I hope you all have a wonderful day.